Dude, this game has been crazy. Oh my lord. Oh god, what is going on here? The rhythmic beeping of the heart monitor brings you slowly back to consciousness. Opening your eyes, you're greeted by a semicircle of concerned faces. Your family by your side, a reassuringly familiar sight in these surroundings. You blink a few times to clear the sleep from your eyes and bring everyone into focus. You feel the hand on yours, gentle but reassuring. Sam, they're with you always. Their expressions, understandably concerned, is somehow more affectionate than ever. Chris chimes in from behind them. See, Alex is fine. We've missed the game for nothing. You and Chris still on great terms, and it's hard to miss the tone of disdain in their voice. The worry lines on Sam's forehead fade a bit. Lord knows you both got enough to be anxious about without your health being thrown into the mix. With a final smile at them, you turn to the rest of your family. Just as you feel Susie's absence, you notice Charlie's fidgeting, clearly trying not to look worried. As soon as you turn to look at him, you can see Charlie tense up, his concern clear on his face. So you're definitely good, right? You finally ask, quickly looking away. Of course I am, buddy. Charlie looks at you and grins, one of those infectious smiles that spreads around the room. It's always good to have him in your corner. Your smile fades as you notice your mother staring listlessly out the window. Despite all your best efforts, she's not doing well lately. Your mother starts, your call clearly shocking her out of her reverie. She turns to you and smiles, and you're grateful to see the increasingly rare recognition in her eyes. Yes, dear, of course. How are you feeling? You smile warmly and nod, but before you can respond, a doctor bustles in and ushers everyone out. He asks you, for what feels like the 100th time, how you're feeling. Surprisingly well. This game, like, straddles a line between ridiculous humor and, like, actual super real things. It's kind of wild. Excellent. There's no sign of any real damage, just a bit of a shock to the old system. Pardon the pun. Not that we'd recommend you do anything like that again, of course. After a couple days of rest at home, you should feel right as rain. Oh, it does look like... Okay. Well, in the private room in care, the doctor gestures to your room, which you now notice is rather expensive, has all been paid for by Mr. Bozeman. He left those flowers and said not to worry and take the rest of the week off. He'll see you Monday, apparently. So yeah, we got shocked at work. Interesting. Okay. That means that last thing we did... Oh, that means we aren't going to see her naked. Oh, man. Just when things were getting... You come home from a particularly late shift to find the kitchen light still on, which isn't normally a good sign. Everyone's usually in bed by now. Softly opening the kitchen door, you find Sam sat at the table. Bills and papers are strewn in front of them, as well as it looks like to be their second pack of biscuits. They give you a quick kiss as you take a seat next to them. Sam frowns and goes back to the bills they're holding. Hey, sweetheart, just looking at the numbers again. You look at the door into the pantry, now converted into your mother's bedroom. We've been doing our best, but I think Cassandra really needs a nurse to look after her now. Suddenly the bills are all you can see. Fortunately, with the money that's been coming in and what we've been able to save, we've got more than enough to keep going. With Susie home to help out, the nurse would only need to be part-time anyway. I know things have been difficult and the daily care won't be cheap, but she's your mother. We have to, really, don't we? Yes. Sort of Damocles sheath, at least for the moment. You grab the papers and stuff them into a drawer. It's such a relief to not have to worry about it anymore, or so you told Sam. Hours later, you're still awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking, how long will the money last? You made it to day 200. A letter home. Sam's out with work tonight and Charlie's staying at a friend's. The house is yours. You order takeaway, have a couple of drinks, and decide to relax in front of the TV. Not a great selection tonight, but surely something to watch. Watch a horror movie. Atmosphere and story are better than you were expecting, making you jump more than once. At a particularly shocking emergence of the lolling lumberer, you accidentally kick the coffee table, revealing a small object hidden behind one of the legs. As you bend down to reach for it, you recall the note Sam left on the fridge. Hey, sweetheart, Charlie lost Susie's present. Would you mind looking for it tonight? As you hold it close, you're surprised to see the gift actually is an engraved lighter for Chippy. It claims the nickname Affectionate, and Charlie still scowls every time she says it. I'm not sure Sam would approve. The accompanying note from Susie explains, Kyrgyzstan has a long tradition of glorifying the art of starting fires. Thought you'd like it. Don't do anything stupid. Susie. Hopefully it's just a souvenir, not a new pastime he's picked up, or about to pick up. Okay. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Glory to Kyrgyzstan. That's right. No? I guess I'm just doing my thing. Flard Master 5000. Power. What's wrong?
After that, at 20 past 10, Dr. Adrian Atkinson Blimey returns with a new season, Twin Sizes, and his very first guest is popular parrot, Hamilton Sportbox. At 11:30, it's a double bill for popular transatlantic comedy, That Nun's Got
Letting it go to your
Guns.
head.
She nearly blinded me.
10 seconds,
I
everybody.
thought we were all part of a team these days.
Things are better, Jeremy.
To
You
close
know.
out this evening's entertainment.
Stop being so
You're in
high mighty
5,
and do your job.
4,
Time to hand over.
3.
Don't tempt me. Good evening. I'm Megan Wolfe.
And I'm Jeremy Dawson. Our main headlines tonight.
The establishment strikes back. The World Council has agreed today to impose punitive sanctions on the people of this country.
The sanctions, which are broad-ranging, include restrictions on the supply of oil and gas, food, clothing, and even some medicines. But how should we react? We asked the public.
What do you think about all these sanctions?
I doubt it make a lot of difference, Pet. I've lived through 2 world wars and I smoke 40 a day. And if that ain't killed me, I doubt this will either.
Thanks, Patrick. Fascinating stuff.
Popular Prime Minister Julia Salisbury has released a reassuringly brave statement in response to the World Council's controversial announcement.
This international declaration is nothing short of outrageous. We are a democratically elected government with massive popular support. We do not recognise these sanctions, and we encourage other socially progressive nations of the world to both resist and ignore them. Advance have struck fear into the heart of the international community by showing that it is possible to have radical change for the betterment of the many. And whilst I wish we could improve other countries as much as we have our own, we do not rely on the help of others to thrive. This country is entirely self-sufficient. We are a team, now more than ever. And this team is on your side. Thank you.
Oh, I don't like that.
Defiant stuff. But what do you, the public, think of our government's stance? Robin Short found out.
Hi there. Robin Short, National Nightly News. I was wondering if I could get your thoughts on the current government.
I'm not really very interested in politics, really. As Mother always said, leave politics to the politicians, Malcolm.
A Flard Day's night. Following the release of the Flard
Okay.
Master 5000, production of
boom.
Flards are at an all-time high.
Thank you for that.
Requiring the new manufacturing facility in Grizzleford to move to 24-hour-a-day production.
With people finding more and more uses for the ever-versatile Flard, the team at Remington Cyst certainly have their hands full keeping up with demand.
So, is there anything better than a handful of Flards? We asked Patrick to find out. Patrick?
What's your opinion of Flards?
I'd get them banned, mate. Flards killed 3 members of my family and more than 1 pet. We should have stuck with Werbs. It was safer then.
The delicate sound of thunder, a frightening start for commuters this morning who were confronted by a somewhat sinister sight as they left their trains.
Many travellers reported feeling intimidated by the silent figures who stood motionless outside every major station in the capital. Radical extremist group Disrupt, who organised the show of strength, refused to comment on the meaning of the strange protest.
Or to apologise to this presenter for making him drop his morning bagel in surprise.
And Flards we should.
But how do we feel about these somewhat radical extremists and their upsetting methods? Robin found out.
Do you have any feelings about Disrupt?
It's all a bit noisy for me, really. As Mother always said, leave the rebelling to the rebels, Malcolm.
Bubbling up, intrepid scientists.
No. Oh, chat. Not for broadcast was not for broadcast. Leave games to the gamers, Cohh. I know. Censored myself. Leave rebelling to the rebels.
Good evening, I'm Megan Wolf.
And I'm Jeremy Dawes. Our main headlines tonight.
Daddy, it's starting!
To every single one of you's a bit Jesus.
What a wild ride!
Hopefully it actually like saved in the segment. That'd be amazing. Ooh, I don't think it did. Okay.
You're fired.
What for? Facial sabotage?
Jenny? Problem? I want her fired today, now.
Don't worry, Kath, it'll be all right.
No, it won't be all right, Kath. Pack up your weapons of optical destruction and get out.
You realise you're beginning to sound like me?
I mean it, Kath.
Stay where you are, Kath. Jenny?
This is not Jenny's decision, Jeremy, or yours.
It'll be all right. I'll talk to Boxman.
Oh, good. You can tell him I'll return his wife's casserole dish at our dinner next week. Jenny?
And his very first guest is popular parrot.
I'm sorry, Kath, you're gonna have to leave.
At 11:30, it's a double bill.
Wow.
Transatlantic comedy.
Wow.
Letting it go to your head.
She nearly blinded me.
10 seconds,
I
everybody!
thought we were all part of a team these days.
Things are better, Jeremy, you know that. Just stop being so
You're in
high and mighty
5,
and do your job.
4,
You'll have me fired too.
3.
Don't tempt me.
Megan and all the team at the National.
Good evening, I'm Megan Wolf.
And I'm Jeremy Dawes. Our main headlines tonight.
The establishment strikes back.
Well, now we have to do everything differently.
The World Council has agreed today to impose punitive sanctions on the people of this country.
The sanctions, which are broad-ranging, include restrictions on the supply of oil and gas, food, clothing, and even some medicines. But how should we react? We asked the public.
So how do you feel about the sanctions?
I actually think that with advance in charge, we'll be fine. Of course, the rest of the world will want us to fail, or it'll be their billionaires next. But I trust Julia and Peter.
Thanks, Patrick. Fascinating stuff.
Popular Prime Minister Julia Salisbury has released a reassuringly brave statement in response to the World Council's controversial announcement.
This international declaration is nothing short of outrageous. We are a democratically elected government with massive popular support. We do not recognise these sanctions, and we encourage other socially progressive nations of the world to both resist and ignore them. Advance have struck fear into the heart of the international community by showing that it is possible to have radical change for the betterment of the many. And whilst I wish we could improve other countries as much as we have our own, we do not rely on the help of others to thrive. This country is entirely self-sufficient. We are a team, now more than ever. And this team is on your side. Thank you.
Defiant stuff. But what do you, the public, think of our government's stance? Robin Short found out.
I was wondering if you could tell me what you think of the government.
What? That shower of iridescent pricks? Punishing success and rewarding laziness? They're taking this country down the bloody Swanee. And it's not just me that thinks so. My wife Iris, she agrees.
A Flard day's night. Following the release of the Flard 5000, production of Flards are at an all-time high, requiring the new manufacturing facility in Grizzleford to move to 24-hour-a-day production.
With people finding more and more uses for the ever-versatile Flard, the team at Remington Cyst certainly have their hands full keeping up with demand.
So, is there anything better than a handful of Flards? We asked Patrick to find out. Patrick?
Could I ask you for your opinion of Flards?
Of what, pet?
Flards.
What are they?
You know, Flards, like the... well, Flards, you know, everyone knows what Flards are. Flards.
I don't know. Don't care.
Oh.
Is it some sort of curd?
Are you okay?
The delicate sound of thunder.
What the
A
hell,
frightening start for
dude?
commuters this morning who were confronted by a somewhat sinister sight as they left their trains.
Many travellers reported feeling intimidated by the silent figures who stood motionless outside every major station in the capital. Radical extremist group Disrupt, who organised the show of strength, refused to comment on the meaning of the strange protest.
Or to apologise to this presenter for making him drop his morning bagel in surprise.
But how do we feel about these somewhat radical extremists and their upsetting methods? Robin found out.
How do you feel about Disrupt?
Ah, well, now you're talking. Ruddy hero, showing us not to take it lying down like Iris here.
So you both feel they're a cause worth supporting?
Oh, Iris doesn't speak on mine, but we're pretty sure there's still one in there, aren't we, love? Wherever it is, it loves Disrupt, fighting the oiks for our freedom. And what could possibly be wrong with that?
Do you need me to get you some help?
Bubbling up, intrepid scientist Dr. David Wong and Dr. Ingrid Svorsborg-Hawkinsford today sent a blueprint of the escape craft in which they hope to finally leave Dante's taint.
With expert opinions of the plan running the gamut from optimistically engineered to that looks like something my granddad made in his shed, it sounds like the unfortunate team are going to need all the thoughts and prayers they can get.
So what should we think about the escape plan? Patrick Bannon again.
So I'd imagine that you think this is a great plan.
Oh my God! How did you know? It's a brilliant idea. I hope everyone gets behind them so that they know that we're with them. In spirit, of course. I can't actually go diving because I'm scared of salt.
I am not a number. Applications finally open today for the new Advanced Team membership cards, a scheme by the government to allow fast access to all the new public services being introduced daily.
The team membership cards are entirely voluntary, but will be recognised as legal identification by all major organisations, including the police, banks and, vitally, pubs and bars.
And of course, there's no charge, Jeremy.
It all seems too good to be true.
Well, you've always been a cynic. But most importantly, what should you, the public, think about the new team membership cards?
Team membership cards?
Absolutely bloody not. It's the thin end of the wedge, isn't it, Iris? First it's, can I see your identification, sir? And then it's, would you mind bending over the table, sir? So Sergeant State Educated and Constable Regional Accent here can stick their truncheon up your derry hair.
Oh, crikey!
They should call them what they are. They're bloody ID cards. Well, for Christ's sake, what is it, Iris?
Oh, I'm really not happy, Algernon! I'm so sorry. Crikey.
And finally tonight, game of two halves. Fresh out of rehab, repentant celebrity sportsman Johnny Hamsleeves is promising to turn over a new leaf.
In a surprisingly energetic appearance on the Whitney Chinwag show this morning, Johnny showed everyone he's certainly full of life and raring to go.
You better not try that on our sofas. I doubt they'll survive the frenzy.
But what should we think of this exuberant behaviour? Patrick?
Get him!
Oh my God, fantastic!
Wise words there.
Later tonight, in a bit of a switcheroo, it'll be Jeremy in the culture chair, spitting rhymes with popular rapper Jay Zus. And then we'll both be chatting with a familiar team of thespians set to take the nation by storm.
Oh, God.
Again.
That's all coming up on tonight's
National Nightly News.
Tonight, thankfully, some news as we return to our main story.
The World Council today agreed that punitive and potentially illegal sanctions...
Real quick, I'm seeing some questions in chat, just to let you guys know what's going on here. So this game is basically like Papers, Please. Basically, I control where the cameras go. There's a mini game down here where I have to, align the stuff by holding down the middle mouse button and moving it around. Censoring stuff is a thing. Every so often, there's like mini game components where I have to look left and right and like click things or activate things like that. So it's very similar to Papers, Please, in terms of just kind of like reacting to what's going on. Yeah.
...should be imposed upon this country. The sanctions, which come into effect immediately, aim to stop the flow of food, fuel and even some medicines from reaching your pockets.
Tonight, we have guests from across the continent to discuss this unprecedented situation. For Advance, Peter Clement is at his home in Lamfordshire. Are you there, Peter?
Yes, I can hear you, Jeremy. Thank you for having me.
A momentous day, Prime Minister. Are you shaken?
Oh, I don't scare that easy, I'm afraid, old son. and neither do the people of this country.
Well, joining us is Ivan Vodovich, Foreign Minister of Kyrgyzstan. Ivan, thank you for being here.
It's a great pleasure. You, Megan Wolf, are like strongest guard at labour camp who wake up inside body of crazy, expensive prostitute. In my country, you will be worshipped as a god.
Okay. Minister, as one of those arguing most strongly for these sanctions, how do you feel about Advance's defiant stance?
Advance is like man who think he have big career in movies land, when actually he in dirty sanitarium, screaming at mirror and holding tiny penis in hand.
He's clearly not from Svenland, and we have like some of the cleanest mental health facilities in the continent, yeah?
And welcome to Svenland's Minister of Mojo, Björk. I'm sorry, we don't appear to have your surname.
It's just Björk, yeah. We don't use things like socially divisive surnames here, yeah?
Minister?
It's just Björk, yeah.
Right, Björk. Your country spoke in favour of Advance at the World Council today, but you were noticeably absent when it came to the actual vote.
Well, what a surprise.
It's just Björk.
The hippies didn't show up for the fight.
Actually, that's quite racist, because if you must know, we were going to go to the whole, like, voting, yeah? But it's actually the Festival of Furelands here at the moment, where we honor the old generations. So, like, we all had to work our grandparents clean, yeah, whilst the vote was happening, and that's, like, a really, really time-consuming process, actually.
You're like a sissy man. You have this expression, sissy man? Is like man with tiny penis who like to wash more than once a week.
Actually, that's quite homophobic, yeah,
Oh,
because...
stop winding him up, Ivan. We're not back at the Grange now. Sorry, Jeremy. Ivan and I used to play golf back in my media days.
Yeah, he always wins.
Nothing gives him greater pleasure than grinding people's gears. The more publicly, the better.
Peter, you're like man with tiny penis who think he have tiny penis, but actually he discovered that. Oh, could it be? No, it's tiny penis.
Ivan's just worried that when the rest of the world sees how well we're doing, they'll notice all that dosh that he's got squirreled away. Because that's what these sanctions are, Megan. They're the last pathetic gasp of an establishment in collapse. Wolves at the gates, Ivan, old mate.
Good. It can join others on my wall.
Actually, in Svenland, we have, like, serious animal welfare legislation. And, like, my friend Helga, she got arrested, yeah, for killing a butterfly that was hovering over her thing. I mean, in English, jam sandwich.
I used to know a girl called Jam Sandwich. She was a right cracker, too. I wonder what became of her.
We seem to be wandering a little from the news here.
That's human interest, Jeremy. The real people behind the headlines and all that. So if you're watching, Jan, give us a call.
Really?
Yeah. Let's see if we can't organise a reunion.
Christ, I'm not sure about that. I'll have to run it past Mrs. Clement first, eh?
Peter, you're like man trying to empty ashes of mistresses into oncoming vent. Soon you have tiny penis and beard full of secrets.
In Svenland, we don't really go in for all that restricted monogamy stuff here. We're kind of fluid, actually.
Okay, well, it seems that we are running out of time.
Yes, so before we go to the break, briefly, if you would, gentlemen, with the people of this country facing shortages and
possible shortages and power outages.
Yes, of course. Thank you. Possible shortages and power outages. Can you summarise your thoughts for us, Minister Björk?
Well, from here, yeah, you all look a bit stupid really arguing about outdated divisive concepts like money. In Svenland, we replaced currency with a system of bodily fluids back in the 1970s, and that's like really hard to sanction, actually.
Thank you, Minister Vodovich.
Your country is like man who think he invented perfect trap for giant mutant hairy bear. When really, he just standing in field
holding his tiny penis, yes. Thank you, Minister. And finally, Prime Minister Clement.
Let me talk to your viewers here, Jeremy. Don't worry, everybody. Don't be afraid. Don't even lose a wink of sleep. We knew the rest of the world would react this way, and we're ready. As my old man used to say, you can't make a shite pie without blocking a few toilets.
Thank you, Prime Minister.
Reassuring words there.
We'll be back.
After these messages.
1 minute back.
Hey, Peter, I over your way this weekend. You fancy a quick 9?
Yeah, sure, front or back.
That's what I hope you're asking Megan Wolf for me.
She's out of your league, mate.
Thank you.
You have to be more careful.
It's all part of his long-term plan to get fired live on the news at 6 in front of the nation.
Can someone warn him it's going a little too well?
Only
Finally, acid gastrique contains an organic blend of ingredients that penetrate deep into your heart, breaking down citrulline and glycogen to have
Censorship should show up in blue.
Acid gastrique nourishes
Same as regular censoring.
the 8 times the strength of
Keep an eye out for the advanced blue waveform.
Acid gastrique.
Gastric acid?
The intensive formula acts fast, repairing damage and strengthening strands for hair that's truly unbreakable.
Have they given you the Crown Principle?
What?
Megan?
Rapid repair and protect, deep nourishing, intensely strengthening Pro V formula.
This is so weird,
Irresistible,
dude.
Healthy looking great hair days that make
Unbelievable.
you say, look at my hair. Acid gastrique. Because you have to.
4, 3. Welcome back. I'm Megan Wolf. Welcome
Later,
back.
we have an
I'm Megan
exclusive
Wolf. First look at a theatrical sensation everyone's going to be talking about. But first, it's time to go over to the culture spot with lovely old Jeremy Donaldson, who's joined by a very special guest.